Good morning. We'll now be starting the final day of the third annual meeting of Collaborative Laboratories. It's time for today's opening session. Please welcome the member of the board of the National Innovation Agency, João Mendes Borga.
Bom dia, good morning. I think we are all happy after yesterday's national performance, so I'll keep it light. Light and as quick as possible. So, first of all, I would like to thank the team. I would like to thank Diogo, Sofia, Teresa, Carmen, Carolina João, Ana Castro, and the rest of the team who is not here that help us prepare for these days of sharing and looking into what's been happening the last year of the CoLABS. But I would also like to thank the ones who are not here anymore and help us reach this point. Manuel Leitor and Ana Gonçalves are on the foundation of the institution that is the CoLABS nowadays, and we should also always remember their contribution. It's not only ANI that works to get the CoLABS moving, so FCT will have their president today here. It's in order for thank you, the Foundation for Science and Technology. Also, the funding partners, PRR, who are here represented by some of their officials, are in order to represent, and many other institutions that I will not go through in detail, but who've been supportive and helping construction the reality of what was once a dream of creating collaborative laboratories. This has been a year of transition. It's been a year that we've been working on finishing the funding that we had, that a lot of our business plans are make or break, and that all the CoLABs have been working hardly. It's also been a year of transition because we've seen youngsters coming in and trying to implement their visions into the ground. It's been a year where we talked a lot about funding, where we talked a lot about how we're going to fund our initiatives, how we're going to grow, and that's always important. In regard to that, I would like to leave just a brief note. I think we've spoken about it yesterday a little bit, but I think it's important to make it clear that we can get more funding if we can prove that we have more impact. We shouldn't forget that the funding that we're receiving, it's from the area of the economy. So the C5 for the mission PRR, it's economic activity. So if we have more impact on the economic activity and in innovation, we will have more funding otherwise. And the National Agency of Innovation will battle for that funding to help your growth. But that's tandem, it's connected one thing with the other. Yesterday we took the time to present to you what the National Agency of Innovation has in terms of Horizon Europe, in terms of different paths for funding, competitive funding, that usually are not common for us to access, or most of the institutions do not access. They're always looking to PT 2020, to PT 2030. The reason why we made this bet, it's because this is the funding of the future. The cohesion funds eventually will go away. We've been hearing this every time that a program comes to an end. There's like a small threat that the next cohesion fund will not be present. The institutions that get really good at doing Horizon Europe and other Central European funding, like are done in the northern countries, will build the ones that will thrive for the future. They are hard. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's easy. It's hard. The success percentage on those funds, it's less beneficial than the national funds. However, that's a differentiator. The ones who can organize them consortiums and win bids will have easier to more funding and will have another impact, which is not obvious, which is they will have internationalization done by them, for them. By building consortiums internationally and working on Horizon Europe, they will create the network internationally to help them sell services and to get recognized internationally. So this, we will go into the next stage of funding. And Mission Interface, which comes from the fundings of PRR, it's a different animal in a lot of sense. I would leave just a couple of notes about it. One of them is that delay in execution of the funding, it's not a good idea. The money has to be spent when it was planned and allocated to be spent. Not spending that money and leaving it for the next year, it's not a possibility. The money has to be spent on the time it was booked to be spent. Otherwise, it will not be available to be spent further on in time. And the rules about that will be clarified before the money gets started to be spent, but this is a red line that you should be aware of. So those kind of projects of PT 2020 where we would leave the execution all to the end, not a good idea at all. It won't happen because the money won't be there to be spent at the end. In terms of how we're going to manage this, it's really, really important to have project managers, to have proper project managers, trained project managers who know how to deal with large sums and big projects. Because if we have to spend it on the time and the moment that we have to spend it, and we have to monitor the execution of the projects and report that, then we need professional project managers to be dealing with these levels of funding. Most of your institutions deal with multi-million budgets. It is important to take it as seriously as we take science. If we need PhDs to deal with science, we need project managers to deal with projects. And that should be something that should be on your table for looking to the future. Also, your, I don't know the direct translation, but your ROCs, the Revisores Oficiais de Contas, the certified accountants. It's not accountants, but yeah, okay, we got there. There will be an important part of the new funding scheme. The new funding scheme will need them to be involved. They will be part of the payments claim, and you will have to interact more with them than what is normal nowadays. So if you don't have that relationship chosen, well established, now it's a good time to start looking for a good ROC and to start doing your connections and building those relationships. And finally, if we think doing science is complex, try to sell it. Eh? You know? If we think innovation is complex, try to make it into the market, into the economy. So I know you've heard me all say this before, but it is a professional affair. It's not something that we can do on our spare time. So hire good business developers. Hire business developers who can sell complex services. Hire business developers who are eager to learn about science. It's not selling cars. It's not even selling consultancy. It's selling innovation. And they have to be pretty convincing, and they will need your confidence months and months before they build their network and they start to do the first sale. So you'll have to be patient, but take it professionally, because this will be the trick to solve the mysterious 1/3 that we all need in private counterparts to justify our business model. Now, I would like to present to you amazing work that the team of ANI has put together. The annual report of this year will be slightly different than the ones that we've been working in the past. I will ask also the people in the background to put the QR codes also, so they can download the QR codes from the... So if you scan or take a picture, you can access the report on your digital devices, while I'll show you what we put together for this year's annual report. It won't be printed. We are trying to save the forest. I heard there was some people worried about the forest, so We're trying to look for the forest and circular economy on all of those things. But it is what I think a good report. We have a message over here from our president, which you can read later on. But I will go through what I think. We collected data for 2021, which is the data that we have. We promised that we'll update this report every time we receive the data. That's one of the beauties of the new methodology, which means that we will have more points of data throughout the year. So you have to look at this as the December 2021 and not December 2022. So we're looking at backwards data. We have been building a network that has executed a lot of funding, but it will execute more. This is just the money that was collected from the regional funds and the contribution from the Foundation from the Science and Technology, and I welcome the President, which has just seen arrive. The base funding has been executed to 38 million until June 2022. There's still considerable amount of money to be executed within the base funding from the regional entities, from the CCDRs. We also produced a graph that allows us to look sectorially to the network. So we can look in terms of funding by year, and we can look to, it's been evolving if we look through the years. And we can see that the public-based funding has been supporting the growth of the network until now. That has to do with a lot of factors, namely the fact that most of the institutions are now starting their path. And I'm sure that we will see these trends move in another way in the next years. But we also can see that this is different between sectors. If we look into agro-foods, we see that the public-based funding has 63% of the overall funding. If we look into digital, we can see that it is 72% of the overall funding at the moment. Another component that we thought it was deserved our attention and deserved the analysis, it's human resources. We can see where more people have been hired throughout the overall period of analysis. We can see how much customers each sector is gathering, but we can all see that the number of customers do not relate directly to the sales. I'll call your attention to this, which I think it's quite interesting. We might have a lot of customers in one sector, and we might have less customers on another, but the volume of each sale, it's quite different from sector to sector. And that can lead to lessons learned and to sharing of different strategies and what's good practices between different CoLABs of different sectors, how they dealt with it. Scientific publications is something that is also very, very interesting because it's not directly, it doesn't correlate directly with sales or with volume of money generated and total customers. And dissemination actions, it's also an impact on the territory. So there's all these different areas where we can look through the whole network, or we can look down on each of the different sectors and each of the different entities. I'm not going to go into detail in each one, but you can explore the report and do your analysis. This is another one which I think the team worked really hard, and I think it's very interesting. So we designed through two different network analysis of our network. One of them is related on the projects that the national agency has access to, which are the Horizons 2020 projects and the PT 2020 projects, which all your institutions are involved. And we correlated that participation in the different projects and the entities that are part of your projects. So CoLABs are at the center, it shouldn't be any other way. And the green dots that I think you can see are universities. The blue ones are companies, and the gray ones are non-for-profit entities. And this is very interesting because we can look at the whole network. It becomes very complex. We can look at the whole network and how the entities are connected within the projects and who are the different actors in the ecosystem that connect different CoLABs using competitive projects as a platform. I think for the next year, this will be a much bigger tree. It will become a dot map, a very interesting dot map. At the moment, we have, I think, anecdotal examples how competitive projects, collaborative projects can be a strength and who's using them better for what purposes. We also did the same in a different area, which is the associates. We can now look into and see how does biodiversity and forest relates to circular economy, and I haven't tested this, I'm doing this live with you. How does circular economy relates to materials and the forest? And we see there's a couple of entities who are connecting these two different sectors. And this can be interesting because there are sectors who are not connected. And there are other sectors who have key actors who have positioned themselves strategically between them. This analysis can feed in information for your strategy of the years to come. We also looked into the different associates, who are the associates from each institutions and what is their organizational, not organization, their institutional positioning in the overall. I think it's interesting to understand that small and medium enterprises are in fact the most common associate amongst the network of CoLABs, and then large enterprises with a very short distance. And this, it's a very strong argument for the impact perceived by the economic actors in the market, how CoLABs will deliver value. And this shows us that it is through companies and through small and medium enterprises and through large companies that will happen. We have built a Wordle of the areas of expertise. This is mostly focused for people outside of the network. If they want to find a CoLAB that works in a specific area or is studying a specific topic, they can go into the sector and look for the word, and then they can find the different CoLABs who are studying that area. And finally, we built, like we did in the report, the annual report, we have an area where we can see each CoLAB. And now I'm going to have to select one, and I'm going to be hated by 34 others, but it has to happen. So we can select by sectors if somebody wants to learn about which CoLABs work in each sector. It makes it much easier. And if they want to go for, I don't know, sorry. If they want to go for one of the CoLABs, they can have the information or the areas of expertise, a brief description that was built by yourselves, the associates, who are the associates, which sectors they are, base funding, what are the funding throughout the years, how it's been building until June 2022, and the HR, how many people are, the different funding sources, R&D projects based on the database. Unfortunately, I got CoLAB for food, which doesn't have Horizon 2020 or PT 2020 on our database, and the impacts. And in the impacts, I would like to leave a message that Sophia will convey to you in bigger detail. When we were building the report, we have this information. We have sales and customers, and we decided, because it wasn't published on the annual report of 2020, we decided not to publish. We look into it. Most of you will report that information in your annual reports. I spoke with some of the CoLABs yesterday that said they published their annual reports on their website, so the information is public. However, this is a decision that has to be called to each one of you to decide if they want to disclose. I think in the name of transparency, in the name of public funded access, which will be the majority of the funding that you will be receiving, which is the competitive funding and the base funding, it would be correct to disclose. But I think this is a decision for each one of the institutions to provide and to give permission for the National Agency of Innovation to put over here. Stronger sales numbers also give confidence to the market that you can deliver services, so it will attract more sales. And this is the report for 2021. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope it gives the possibility for a lot of data mining, for a lot of strategy, for a lot of collaboration. And in a nutshell, this was what I had to show you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the pitching session and discussion, Saving Planet A for Future Generations. Each CoLAB have now 3 minutes for your presentation. For the first speech, B2A.
Well, can you, this is not here, okay? I can't change the slides in the computer. There's a pointer. Okay, thank you. Good morning to you all. 2 minutes, huh? Thank God that João has already presented the annual report, so it makes my life a bit easier. So I'm from B2E. We are the Blue Bioeconomy CoLAB. We work mainly in aquaculture and sustainable blue economy, marine resources, blue biotech, and very briefly presenting our key activities and main achievements in the last few years. We have been consolidating our work. So 2020, we've been working since 2020, but this is the first year that we actually have considered that our work is reaching peak velocity, let's call it like this, and we are about to enter a new growth phase. So there are some projects that we have already approved. I have here some examples of the ongoing projects that we have right now, and I would like to highlight the PRR projects that we are going to start in 2023, and that together with the mission interface represent the bulk of our funding for the next 3 years. So we are more or less fully funded by now. So we are going to try to spend all the money, I promise. Okay, it will be a challenge, but I think I can do it. I would also like to highlight our dissemination activities, because one of the main goals that the B2E CoLAB has is to stimulate the economy, not only through the development of projects that bring to the market innovative solutions, but also through the actions that we do together with the public, directed to the public, to promote our sectors of activity. So in here we have to highlight the work that we've been doing to demystify aquaculture products that has led us to the mass media, and that we are going to continue to work on, because as you well know, aquaculture still has a very negative image in the Portuguese public, and if the sector is to grow, we need to work together with the public to stimulate the consumption of, even if we are one of the world's largest fish consumers. Okay, so this is one very important part of our work, the public projection that we give to the sector. Also, we help our associates and other companies in the same areas, not specifically our associates, that they are in our network and that work for the same goals, to showcase their activities abroad. So this is one of the events that we, it's Aquaculture Europe, it's a fair that we do this public stand where we bring the companies that want to come with us abroad to showcase their products. And this is something, the kind of initiative that we want to promote in terms of internationalization. And finally, about our key competencies and key markets, this hasn't changed much in the past few years. We are still supporting our customers throughout the innovation cycle. So if you have an idea, we can work with you from the inception of the idea to the bringing of the market and in all the stages in between. And this year, in 2023, and this is, of course, to stimulate our sustainability in terms of economic sustainability, we are, in fact, going to focus more on service providing, which is something that has been very slowly growing in the past year, but that we hope to increase steadily in order to reach the funding model that Annie has kindly imposed upon us. So thank you very much. That's it. And 4 minutes.
Thank you very much. And now, Saya.
Good morning, everybody. It's very good to be here. I will lose my 2 minutes with inflation because I need to update my time. At Smart and Sustainable Living, CoLAB, we keep working committed with our own product development strategy. From research and development to productization, focus on 3 strategic areas: connectivity and positioning, security and safety, and data knowledge and embedded intelligence. We are now 50 people, of whom 18% are PhDs, 18% master in science, among other masters. Our main customer segments are cities, mobility operators, local companies, and citizens and communities. Based on our own cyber-physical product development strategy, together with our stakeholders, we keep working on technology and markets development and leverage. During last year, our main focus was on our connectivity platform and in our digital data and services platforms, namely sustainability as a service and mobility as a service. We rethink from the scratch the SaaS concept, and we work on the transformation of UI and UX oriented to people instead of services, and we introduce new mobility services in our MaaS platform. We work deeply on AI models, especially on climate intelligence, to support management and decision-making process in cities based on sustainability. Our connectivity platform is actually ready to integrate third-party platforms, namely MaaS platforms, in a simplified way, accelerating innovation and reducing integration and operation costs with new features and sensors. On cyber-physical devices side, we start band development, the first 4-wheel mobility device that compensates its production carbon footprint in the 3 first operation years. But we do all that based on an iterative approach. We develop and test our solutions in real life at our cities network, and we leverage them to the market as soon as they are ready to do it. Actually, we are working with 8 cities in the north of Portugal and with Itajaí in Brazil, where we expect to avoid till 2030 near 38 ketones of CO2 and impact around 34,000 users. In cities like Matosinhos, we expect to avoid 26 kilotons of CO2 and impact around 26,000 users in the same period. And we're doing all of this together, not only with the cities, but also with industry, universities, and scientific and technological system. But the new generations are crucial to our development process. We need to understand the vision and how the young people look to the society, to intuit the future and inspire our ideation cycle. It's the reason why we design an integrated approach to work together with young people, since kindergarten to the university and labor market, mobilizing them for academical and professional careers in STEAMs, empowering and making them aware for their role in society transformation, showing them how they are essential to create a better planet, sustainable, beautiful, and inclusive. And this is not a way only to seduce and develop or retain talent, but to prepare the future technological leaders of the planet, because with better people, there is no doubt that we will have a better world. Because the future is not claimed, it is built. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. And for the next speech, Enough Plant Protect.
Okay, good morning to you all. I want to thank Annie and also FCT for this great event. It is great to meet all of you, and especially a lot of friends that I create during this journey, along with the creation of the CoLABS. And I want to include also the advisors, especially Cass, which is still here. Hi, Cass. It was great. It's great to be with you. Okay. And finally, before starting my presentation, I want to say that I'm not completely sure we are trying to save the planet. I don't think it's really our main issue, but anyway, let's start to try it. And I'll try the 3 minutes, so it means that I won't go into details. I try to choose some messages, and that's it. Okay. So our game is this: the phytopharmaceutical industry is restructuring its products. Okay. So what we are doing is we create this CoLAB, which is a Pedro-Pelaix institution that aims to develop, using up to TRL6, innovative, bio-inspired and digital solutions to protect crops. And the rest is just words. Okay? So basically the game is this one. We want to create value through the management of living organisms in the field, which is really, I'm sorry to say, it's a mess. It's really difficult to do this. It's not just saying, let's do it and it's done. It is not. Okay, so in a nutshell, what is Enough Plant Protect? One of the 8 CoLABs in low-density regions, the sole devoted to crop protection, a tractor of high-qualified human resources to this region. We have now 40 people. Unified and functional structure. We struggle to create this structure in Elvas. And we do innovation in cooperation and for the stakeholders. And we will try to manage a B2B business plan. So the timeline. We started, we had the seal in 2018, and 2019 we constituted the private non-profit association, which is not easy to do because, as I talked also with some people, we would like to have a different kind of structure to attain more financing. We start activities on 2020 in temporary facilities. In 2021, we have the first competitive project awarded, the CFIT seal, and we are now EFSA competent authority. We have a reliability seal. A new facility is opened just on May, and I'll show you a glimpse of that. And we have already a first provisional patent awarded in July, and we are going now for the second and the third one. So I will say that within 6 months, more or less, we will be applying for the first patents. Okay, so just a glimpse of some of the new labs that we built, and to finish what we expect in terms of income. just to say that we will not get to the one-third, one-third, one-third in 3 years, just for saying. We can discuss it. Of course, that's what we have, present perspectives. We will not know in 6 months where we will go. So I think that's it. I want to show you the people because we are not machines, we are persons, and without persons we cannot do anything. Okay, so these are the 40 guys that are with me in Elvas. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, Pro Child.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Anna Justino and I'm the CEO of Pro Child CoLAB. At Pro Child CoLAB, our mission is to develop a strategy against child poverty and social exclusion. And how does a CoLAB do that? Well, this is it through our key competences and activities. We develop transdisciplinary scientific projects at the interface of social and technological innovation. We implement and validate intervention programs and models in real-life contexts by linking both the public and the private sector and articulating professionals and academics in the field. We develop innovative products and services, as well as scientific training and supervision to professionals in the childhood field. And we also take part in the social and economic valorization of knowledge, of course through publications and communications, but also through the promotion of CSR agendas and the development of an observatory to represent children's reality in Portugal. Ultimately, we contribute to scientifically informed public policies to promote children's well-being and to stand up upon their rights. And to succeed in doing so, we count on our most important asset, the Pro-Childers, a truly multidisciplinary team of highly qualified researchers, which I take this opportunity to acknowledge and to thank. And this team deploys its work within our strategic areas, which encompass health and well-being, development, education, social participation, protection, nanotechnology, and digital technologies. We also have 2 knowledge transfer units, the Pro-Child Data Observatory and the Pro-Child Academy. Our current and evolving activities within these areas are set towards our priority, to grow sustainably. And as a result, we are consolidating and upscaling our R&I agenda while setting the roadmap towards internationalization, always with a go-to-market oriented approach. We are reinforcing our political lobbying activities, diversifying our funding sources, as well as enlarging our strategic partnerships within our target market, which encompasses companies, municipalities, social organizations, but also R&I institutions, universities, and schools. And as a result, this is just a brief snapshot of our achievements during the last year. I'm not going to present this slide into detail for the sake of 3 minutes time, but during the last year, we were able to reassure the CoLABS-based funding through the mission interface. In terms of competitive funding, we won a RANAG award, an FCT project grant, a PRR from the Mobilizing Agendas, and we have a BPI La Caixa Infância award under assessment through the last phase. As for own funding, we have entered into partnership agreements with multiple entities, namely Farfetch, Direito Mental Association, Belmiro das Vezes Foundation, Municipality of Guimarães, among others, for the development of projects and implementation of programs, provision of services and products that can ultimately reach the more disadvantaged and excluded groups of society. And with this roadmap, we truly believe to be in the right path to attain our purpose of placing children first, building stronger families in a more equal society. And I'd like to invite you to join us in doing so. So please feel free to reach me, and I'm sure there's multiple opportunities around. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Mais Atlantic.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. So I would like to build upon what was said before And I would like to reinforce that although my colleague is not sure that we are saving the planet, I am sure that we aren't. But we can't go on without trying, and this is what we are trying to do with CoLAB plus Atlantic. So basically our mission is to target the whole Atlantic Ocean basin, including the coastal regions and also the Mediterranean region. And we mainly target to deploy the value of data, transform it into added value for the community and for the society, including the private sector. In that regard, we are a very heterogeneous and diversified CoLAB in the sense that we have a lot of associates coming from academia, from the private sector, also from the public sector, and that expands also to the team. We are a very, I would say, unexpected group of people here. I myself am an architect working on ocean, so as you can see, we are very encompassing, and we have a lot of people here. It's a very large group, including oceanographers, data scientists, marine biologists, and also other general backgrounds. So basically, the multidisciplinarity is at our core, and it's our main modus operandi to face any problem that comes to us as a challenge. So in addition to this, we also have a large network of internationalization, and we are putting out our bets on the internationalization of our team and our projects. In this regard, we have already established some connections with the Copernicus services, also Mercator Ocean, among others. And we are also involved in several European projects, not only Horizons, but also services to ESA and the European Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecast. During this Missão Interface effort, we have tried to compile all the efforts that we have put in our strategy before to try to merge them into lines of activities. The thematic lines of activities that I'm describing here are to support ocean-based economic activities, and under this umbrella we are mainly targeting aquaculture, digitalization of the aquaculture in particular, also ocean renewables. We also target coastal hazards and coastal and transitional areas. In this regard, we are targeting not only the impacts of climate change, the ones that I mentioned before that we are not going to save the planet from, but also blue carbon and capture, because we have to at least try anyway. In addition, in terms of ocean stewardship, we are looking at more broader monitoring and the sense of planetary and ocean health, in the sense of monitoring the health of these ecosystems and the physical aspects as well. This includes also novel approaches in terms of digital twins in particular for the Lisbon area, the Lisbon Bay Digital Twin, which is a new area that we are going to tackle in the Missão Interface. To give you just a broad perspective of some ongoing practical activities, this is just a brief snapshot. As you can see, for instance, we are working with aquaculture to identify dead fish automatically using AI and on-site cameras. So this is an example of digitalization. We are also using drones and very high-resolution imagery to tackle coastal erosion. And also, in terms of ocean stewardship, you have here a snapshot of a marine heat wave trend and how it affects the ecosystems. It's also the target for this kind of data. So in terms of ongoing activities, we have a lot of ongoing activities, but we have already submitted several Horizons and international competitive projects. We are looking forward for positive replies from at least some of those. Nonetheless, you can see that we already have a lot of them. They are distributed not equally among each of the lines of activities, but they are expected to grow in every item. In terms of the overall KPIs, so as you can see, we have been growing both in terms of competitives and also in terms of services. Of course, you can notice that the rate of change is not exactly what would be expected for us to reach a one-third rule within the scope of Missão Interface. Nonetheless, it's a positive trend, and we are trying really hard to come closer to the target proportion between baseline funding.
CoLAB, you need to finish, please.
Yes, sorry. So, but this is my last slide, and this is just to take the takeaway message that we are putting our best effort to that. And one of those examples is our competitive approval rate, which is a quite good one, given the international projects and what is the typically approval rate of those. And this is basically my conclusion. And please feel free to reach out to us, and thank you all.
Thank you. Now I invite each CoLAB to go to the stage and sit. And I would like to call the session moderator, the Vice Dean João Rodrigues, also professor at the University of Algarve.
Bom dia a todos. Good morning, everybody. So it's very nice to be here, and excellent pitches, 5 excellent pitches. So from the pitches, I have a key idea. So sustainability, for me, was the key idea that was around the 5 speeches. So in my background, when I discussed with my friends and my colleagues about sustainability, each of us has a different idea of sustainability. So my sustainability starts always with energy, because my background is around energy. So 3 questions that goes around the table. First, which should be the 3 main ideas that we should implement about sustainability? 3 ideas, 3 years to be implemented. How can we bring these ideas to the industry? And how can we bring these ideas to the general public? I will start from my right.
Hi, good morning. That's a hard question. I agree that sustainability is not only a broad concept, but not a consensual one at that. And you speak of energy, usually we tend to forget that economic sustainability has to come first, otherwise things will not go forward. In our case, in order for the sector, I'll give aquaculture as an example, to be sustainable, we need to start growing here in Portugal, for instance. Okay, this will help us conserve the fishery resources and relieve the pressure that are on natural stocks. But we also need to work on the social sustainability of the sector. So we need to attract intelligent people to work on it and make it attractive. We need to make it state-of-the-art and work with technologies, 4.0 industry technologies. This will, of course, involve energy, but not only that, we need to work within the circular economy to make the most of the side streams of other industries to use, for instance, in feeds for aquaculture, and make sure that we are converting everything that has a nutritional value into a nutritious product and safe product for the people, but also that we inform the people about the quality and safety of these products that are produced here in Portugal and here in Europe. So to bring this to the companies, we are already doing this. We are working together with the companies to develop these strategies, okay, that are far-reaching. They go from the communication aspects to the R&D aspects, where you are focusing on developing solutions that are sustainable, that go and protect the welfare of the animals, for instance. And so I think the companies are already there, the ones that are in our national ecosystem, let's say. They need a little bit of support from the CoLABs and from the research institutes to bring these solutions to the markets, but also from the government, because there are still a lot of bottlenecks in order for the sector to grow. So I think we are on the right path. We just need a little bit more time and a little bit of help, but we are going towards sustainability in the aquaculture sector, for instance.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for your question. And when I think about Pro-Child CoLAB, trying to address your question, I think children are the human capital of tomorrow's. So early interventions, children inherit poverty from their parents because they don't have access to education, to good health. They have lack of access to economic conditions. So this is an intergenerational cycle of poverty. And early intervention to prevent poverty and social exclusion and to assure that children at risk have their rights upheld and equal opportunities is quintessential and has been well demonstrated to, have great and long-term impact on both children outcomes and social outcomes. Because children will have the potential to develop to their fullest potential and get better jobs because they get better education, better health outcomes, as well as better life quality. Of course, this impacts society and governments because you have lower welfare costs, you have better productivity, which has an economic impact, and you also are contributing to promote human rights and equality of justice. So Pro-Child can contribute to that because we are working towards breaking the intergenerational cycle of poverty and social exclusion by reinforcing this rationale of investing in early years of life, not through assistance measures or fragmented measures that typically qualify this kind of interventions, but really by capacitating the system, by contributing to active public policies that can stand upon their rights and promote their well-being. So this is one side of the coin in terms of our activity. As for pro-child activities in itself, we can contribute to promote to sustainability because we are a learning hub and we can create a lot of measures to new professionals that can boost and improve a sustainable future.
Thank you.
Hi.
So thank you for your question. I think I can say that from the Plus Atlantic side, we are currently trying to tackle sustainability from two perspectives. We have some initiatives that are definitely a tech push approach in the sense that we are, of course, most of us researchers, and we try to take advantage of our knowledge to see gaps not only in the knowledge but the application of that knowledge for the society and to bring it forward. And in some of those cases, I would say that reaching the broader audience of the society is the best approach to enforce the regulations and also the industry to take advantage of those findings. Just to give an example, if you map a given hazard and people become aware that their choices in terms of location, etc., do have a hazard included in the way they occupy the territory, this will force the regulation and the local stakeholders in terms of special planning to tackle that issue because it's not only present in regulatory dossiers, but it's also available to the public. This is one approach that comes mostly from the tech push side. We also have several initiatives from the market pool side of things. So we started to build connections with several sectors. I would highlight the aquaculture sector in the sense that the work being done at PRR was very proficient in putting us close to the industry. And so it managed for us to make like a list of problems, of things they want to solve. And we try to take advantage of our hard skills to solve those issues. So this is another perspective. This is to give practical examples of how we approach sustainability. Sustainability as a broader theme, some philosophers say it's a false one or a fantasy one, in the sense that as long as we exist, we disrupt the environment we have, but of course we try to minimize our footprint in every sense, environmental, carbon, etc. And all these examples I've given you are all trying to put more efficient and more aware situations on the field, industry or social, and to minimize this impact that we know that we have.
in a very fast way, three approaches to promote sustainability. The first of all, develop sustainable by design devices, optimizing their life cycle and their use along this life cycle. An example, the BAN, the first four-wheel mobility device that will compensate the carbon footprint of their production in their first 3 years of use. In the second level, developing solutions and services that allow us to optimize the use of these devices and to create a better behavior for the sustainability. Examples, the X4S service, where we cross the share of ownership with share of use of mobility devices, and the air platform, where we quantify avoided emissions of CO2 in the mobility process on the cities, the mobility process of people and goods. And on the top of that, our Sustainability as a Service platform that we are developing to sync the cities and the territories from the sustainability. An intelligent platform to support the decision process to politicians, to managers, to technicians from the cities and territories to manage and to build better cities for the future.
Okay, I want to tackle your question from a different point of view. I'm not going to re-explain the CoLAB and what we are trying to do. I'm going to tackle from the point of view of what sustainability can be or can be seen. Well, some people said sustainability is like a tripod. We have the environment, the social and the economic points, and other things like it is a triangle where the ecosystem is at the base and then we build from it. From thinking from this point of view, we think that ecosystems must be managed. The way we live in this planet, we cannot think that we can afford to not to think that we are managing the ecosystems, and so we have to devise structures and products that can help manage the ecosystem in a sustainable way. The second aspect is to prevent prejudice and preconceptions in relation to the first one. So we cannot continue to think that we are living in nature and for the nature. We have to think differently. And the third part is of course to think about the social and economical sustainability. We cannot live. We have to live with an ecosystem equilibrium, but we have to, of course, to create value from it.
Thank you. And I don't know if the audience has any question that you want to put. If not, I'm going to continue. So I think sustainability is also very related with education, of course. And again, two questions in one. Is sustainability related with entrepreneurship, or is not related with I cannot say the word correctly, entrepreneurship? And should these two subjects, sustainability and entrepreneurship, start at the secondary with classes given specific with about these subjects? Should they go through the university? Should every course have some kind of disciplinary with these two subjects, or two disciplines with the two different subjects? What do you think about this?
I think these subjects should be taught, yes, whether together or apart. I'm not. I'm trying to avoid saying the word. But yeah, empreendedorismo. It's the same. It's still an issue. Everybody knows what we're talking about. So sustainability should be taught, because if we are not taught to respect our environment and to protect our resources, we all know what's going to happen down the line, right? Entrepreneurship, also, I think that, but it should be taught from a young age, not just in college, you know. While I think that new businesses should be sustainable, entrepreneurship, I don't think there are really that they have to be linked. Okay, but I think this should be taught from an early age. I think ProChild may have something to do with this. We have to grow in a mindset of entrepreneurship in order for the ideas to bloom, and then for the ones that are capable of moving forward to actually be nurtured and do so. But in my opinion, these ideas are per se sustainable, because nowadays, if a business or an idea is not unsustainable, it will not find a willing ground to grow on. So they are linked in that fashion. But yeah, I think that in teaching them, it should be in primary school and all through the cycle until you grow.
Thank you. I'm totally in agreement. It starts at early age. And we need to place the seed. In Portugal, there's not a culture of entrepreneurship. And I recall my young years. I grown up in a family that both my parents worked for third parties. My grandparents worked for third parties. Entrepreneurship was something completely out of my way. And as I went to school and then I went to academia, I started to work with innovation and, thinking about putting things in the market, from the bench to the market, from the lab to the bench side. And I never thought that I could do it, actually, because I never learned how to do it. Then I went abroad into a country where entrepreneurship is really within the culture, and you have that mindset even on your daily days. So I came to Portugal, and now I'm in a CoLAB that has this mindset, and it boosts me. So I think it is important to place the seed at early ages, but it's something that we need to be aware. We cannot all be entrepreneurs. Why? Because there's always the drivers and the keepers of the economy. And you need to have the mindset, but we cannot all go around and have new ideas and just go and boost the market with new things. So this is important. It's important to be aware that the opportunity is there, but also we need to know that economy does not live only on that. It's something that is part of it.
So I would argue that entrepreneurship and sustainability cannot be decoupled right now because as we speak, the society is already aware and forcing the regulators and the private sector to come to it. And I would say that in addition to regulation, which is of course the most straightforward approach to enforce sustainability practices and accountability as well, there's also the market demand in terms of how we do our choices, mostly in terms of consumption, because we choose the companies that survive according to what we buy. So if we buy things that are built more sustainably, of course we are choosing those companies to be empowered, and I think that we are seeing that phenomena right now. So I don't see this as something that can go back. But in addition to regulation and reporting of several KPIs in terms of sustainable practices, there's also this notion of the respect for future generations. There's in fact a book that I'll always like to advertise, The Ministry of the Future. It's a climate sci-fi in the sense that it puts together a scenario in which you have to pay for your impact to the future generations. And in terms of sustainability, we cannot think solely in terms of our own time, but in terms of the future impact for the future generations. And in that regard, if several non-sustainable practices do become responsible for the costs in terms of money, I mean, becoming accountable for what they are doing in the long run, that's of course something that is going to have a major impact on our goods and services and how much they cost. And these are my thoughts on the subject.
Sustainability must be all around, on the way we live, on the way we study, we work, we consume. So in the entrepreneurship, we must be sustainable by thought, by design, by everything we do. And this is the reason why we are working with new generations to build this future. We start from very early because it's the way to take them together to think with us how we design the future. So not only take to the entrepreneur process, but above all, to create a new culture of change to redesign the future of the world. Okay.
So I want to take it from another point of view, and because of course we are dealing with agricultural processes. So my first thinking is, if we don't have primary production, how can we be sustainable from the economic point of view? If there is no food, how will the society will be disrupted, and we will not have progress and not value. Of course, you can think about ecosystems, that ecosystems can provide us services from different points of view, and usually people trying to think about, tourism, to have fun in the ecosystem. But in fact, what we take from the different ecosystems basically is primary production and it's food. So from my point of view, farmers are entrepreneurs and are probably the first entrepreneurs, and of course all the associated activities that surround farming and prevent farming from being disrupted, of course, is an entrepreneurship activity. And so, from my point of view, that's what I think we are trying to, in the CoLAB, trying to help to be sustainable from this point of view.
I'd like to ask we have to finish? One more? No. So, thank you. You have to finish. Thank you all for this nice speech and this round table. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now go through the next pitching session, tap on natural resources in a sustainable manner. I remember that each CoLAB have 3 minutes for presentations, and for the first speech, Alma Science.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry. Somebody has to use them. So, again, I would like to thank Annie for organizing the event and, of course, for the support. Alma Science, CoLAB, acts now as an innovation lab. And is something okay? Is the voice okay? Yeah. Okay. Closer, okay. So Alma Science is focused on, or is acting as an innovation lab and an incubator for technologies that are associated or focused on using cork, paper, and cellulose materials and creating advanced materials based on these raw materials, and also developing electronic devices that are based on paper as a platform for the era of sustainable technology. So that's a very broad definition. And in terms of green button, yeah. So in case of in the go-to-market, or how do we approach the market with this very broad technology kind of concept or offering, we have segmented our activity into 4 main, let's say, technology bundles or nested brands. So we have Cellugel by Alma Science, which is focused on developing medical, or advanced materials for medical and the agro-business. We have quite an advanced project there. We have Paperweight Digital, which is developing large area electronics for smart retail. Sphinx ID, which is working on brand protection solution and security. And then Smart Pack Technologies, which is focused on paper-based IoT devices for the packaging industry and for supply chain. In terms of our activity, in 2022 only, we've registered 5 patents. We are a part of 4 PR agendas, and the budget is there. Competitive funding was also quite successful for the next few years. We are about 30 people now, but we are going to hire more in the frame of PRR. This is not, the numbers are before PRR hiring. 2 of our most advanced projects are a paper with digital technology, which is again working on large area electronics for retail, and the Petri cell dry technology as a part of Cellogel for making a paper-based growth media Petri dish, cellulose-based Petri dish. In terms of, just to give you a glimpse of some of the stuff we're working on, there are some short-term activities, or we're using technologies to gain maybe some short-term gains with the industry, and others are more kind of long-term efforts as part of the go-to-market strategy I've described before. In terms of our ecosystem, we are affiliated with some academic partners and of course with applied research institutes here in Portugal. I'm a bit out of my time, but that's going to be just a bit. Fraunhofer, Raiz, Nova, and Senimat. And then we have our industrial associates that are supporting our path and kind of guiding the directions where we can make an impact for them, which is of course the Navigator, Empresa Nacional Casa de Moeda, Firmo, and Grupo Clara Saúde. And our go-to-market is really around these kind of subjects. And then of course we work with brands and tier 1 companies to understand where our solutions can make an impact and build use cases that can approach the market. I think that's it. So I was a little bit out of time, but any questions, or that's after?
After it, but thank you very much. Now, Forest-wise.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carlos Fonseca. I'm representing Forest-wise as CTO. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. And well, I would like to present what we did in the last 2 years. This is our associate ecosystem. As you see, most of the associate shareholders are companies. And these are our major highlights in the last 3 years. We finished the contract of people. We have 100% of execution in terms of people. 21 projects are running. 40% of them are services. And we have a lot of chance to have these indirect jobs in different projects that we promote. And at the moment we got 56 publications, most of them scientific papers, but one very special one that will be presented next week in Porto, in Fundação Cupertino Miranda, and I take this time to invite you to come to this presentation. That will be a very special book about forest and fire in the times of pandemic. The main achievements in 2021, 2022, I can highlight the participation and the leading activity of our CoLAB in 2 main consortia. One related to the bioeconomy, sustainable bioeconomy, and we are leading all these consortium that includes 38 partners. It's about a total of 28 million euros of investment. And the second one is an agenda, a mobilizing agenda in terms of forests, since the plant until the market, as you can see by the the nature of the partners, and the total amount of this agenda is around 130 million euros. So as you can see, our role was to put all these people together, and it took a lot of time, a lot of work, and our team was really did a big effort for that. We also focus on services. We have several services, as I showed you before, and we have also a strong impact in the public policies. So we give support to several areas related to the forest and the fire sectors. And finally, the key competencies activities are based in our main working lines that that create products and services that we are putting available to the society, to our associates, and of course our target markets are much more than our associates. So we are doing efforts to obtain some services from other public and private entities, and of course to the internationalization, and to be linked with other CoLABs that we already start this way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now, Green CoLAB.
Okay, good morning everyone. I will give you now a very short overview of the installation status of Green CoLAB. Green CoLAB is the CoLAB related with the valorization of the algae sector. Our research and innovation agenda is fully based on the exploitation of algae feedstocks for different biotechnological applications. We are based at the University of Algarve, although we are located in another campus, but we count with our partners and associates which are located all over the Portuguese coast. Our main achievements this year are mainly related with the conclusion of our infrastructures. We have now 4 labs fully equipped and ready to work, as well as our office space. And this allowed the 28 human resources of Green CoLAB to conduct their work. This is only possible due to the base funding from ANI. We have now finished our first 3 years of execution, and we are starting now this month with a new interface program. And during these 3 years, we were able to obtain more than 6 million euros of competitive funding from the 14 projects that were granted. And it's important to highlight that in this year's budget, the competitive funding already surpasses the base funding, reaching 56% of our total budget. On the other hand, the own revenue is only 3%, and we know that this is the area or the share that we really need to improve in the upcoming years. Regarding our key activities these last 2 years, we are very focused in the execution of our updated research and innovation agenda, as well as in the execution of the 12 projects that were granted to Green CoLAB. But our main focus is in the establishment of our service platforms, because we believe that this is the best strategy to bring revenue to CoLAB. And here you can see an example of our analytical chemistry platform and the services that we can provide to our associates and also to third parties. But we have other platforms such as the bioactivity, the molecular biology, the biorefinery, and the sustainability platform for the establishment of LCAs. We are also evolving on the TRL of our products. On the technology side, you can see the prototype of our lab-scale photobioreactor unit, and on the right, the design of our industrial unit that is currently being assembled. We are also developing a DNA kit for the early detection of contaminants in algae companies, additives for the aquafeed sector, food prototypes, and solutions for the agriculture, such as biostimulants and biopesticides. Our target markets are the algae-producing companies, as well as other industries that use algae in their products, such as the food, feed, and so on. And we are also tackling the R&D institutions that work in algae biotechnology. Here you can see some of our clients until today, and also, of course, our associates, which are by far our best clients. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. And now, the next CoLAB, Kept.
Okay, we have 3 minutes, is it? So it's very short time, but anyhow, good morning to all of you. Welcome to Algarve. It's a pleasure to receive all of you here. I represent Keep CoLAB that was launched 18 months ago to valorize and dignify the profession in tourism. So it's about sustainability and resources, but human resources. About our resources, we have a team of 6 persons now, but we need much more, and we are trying to recruit another people, and we aim to achieve at least 9 persons. We have also 20 equities associations with us, in between academy, hotel chains, tour operators, associations for hotels and restaurants, and among other people. So we reached the maximum number of associations that we could put inside of our CoLAB in equity. But despite we reach the maximum number, we keep on open. Sorry, I should be presenting the slides. Despite we reach the maximum number, we keep on open for further collaborations, and actually we are working to open the Keep CoLAB to foreigner international collaborations as well, but we keep on also willing to collaborate with all the CoLABs that are here today. We start with an action plan of, regarding the achievements, we start with an action plan of 10 activities split on 3 labs or axes if we want, that is information or digital lab, education and qualification lab, and then the sustainability and innovation lab. Within 6 months of working very hard, we were able to approve a PRR interface mission, and we had 3 more actions to our plan, mostly boosting the education and qualification lab and also the digital lab. We also finished the first consultancy project characterizing the labor market and quantifying the human resources needed to overcome the shortage of human resources all of us are facing. Simultaneously, we are working on valorization of the profession by sharing stories of success, but not so positive, but still very important, is the research that we are doing about professionals that gave up to be involved in. We also did a conference in September, and we are preparing another one in Bordeaux. Actually, this one is about wine and gastronomy, so I dare to invite my colleagues from wine and gastronomy CoLABs to be with us. We will have very good taste wines and things like that, so might be interesting. Because research is also to have some fun with this. And we are also working, and we prepare 2 books. One is edited by us, and the another one, we had a chapter on this. And we also have a little bit more publications for coming, but we skip to talk about this because we have very short time. And mostly in 6 months, we have half of the budget that was planned till 2025, but we still need to keep on working to increase the consultancy projects and to increase the private budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now, the last CoLAB of this panel, Aquavalor.
Good morning, everyone. So, my name is Katia Fidalgo. I'm an investigator at Aquavalor. Aquavalor is a collaborative laboratory located in Chaves, in the north of Portugal. I will start briefly with our timeline. So we start back in 2019 as a Center of Valorization and Transfer of Water Technology. Later on, we won several projects, mainly from BPI La Caixa Promove along the years. To refer that on to 2020 and 2021, we were awarded with 2 projects that allow us to hire 13 people, highly qualified human resources. Only on 2021 we were recognized with the title of CoLAB, and in the beginning of this year we applied for interface submission. We received in August the first reply of the approval of the funding, and we contest, and now just on November we received the formal approval. So I will say briefly our main focus. So as our name says, water is our main focus, especially natural mineral water. Along that we have 3 main research and innovation areas that are health, cosmetics and cosmeceuticals, and food and beverages. Transversal to all of these 3 areas, we have information systems and digital technologies, and also along with this, the human resources training and qualification. We have assessed several impact areas that are water-based areas that have several focus in that are transversal to all of this. In terms of competences and activities, we may say that in terms of specialization and valorization of the natural mineral water sector, we can say that we have already developed several activities. We are happy to say that we have a water laboratory installed and certified. Along with this, we have also finalized the diagnosis report for the spa and health sectors in order to improve the applications of water treatments in health. In terms of this, we have evolved several scientific and technical knowledge that is lacking in this specific area. Our target markets can be say in this health-based area, that is water-based specialized services in terms of health, cosmetics and cosmeceuticals, food and beverages. In terms of the new applications of and uses of the natural mineral water, we already evaluate the bioactivity of this water in terms of laboratory assessment, and we have already developed a prototype of a food product with incorporation of this water. This also has always the focus to develop new products, and as a target markets we have several companies. In terms of training and qualification of human resources in this area, we have focused on the development of a thermal academy program, and also a training offer and support in teaching activities of a school that is also installed with our facilities. And in this case, the target market is the institutions that promote health using water. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm representing the already small team that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, for discussion, I invite each CoLAB to go to the stage and sit And I would like to call the moderator, Tiago Martins de Oliveira, President of the Agency for Integrated Management of Rural Fires, AGIF.
Good morning. Thank you to the organization for the invitation. I would like to moderate this discussion, but I have maybe one comment and two questions that I would like to help you to put this, your ideas forward. Well, quoting Guy Vilax, CEO of Avion, in the last presentation that I saw him at the study about innovation that was presented by the Fundação La Caixa, he said the Portuguese and Portugal were very good on transforming money in knowledge, but very bad transforming knowledge in money. And that brings me the bells here, and I liked that you highlight to the audience here. I don't know how many persons are here from companies or from public authorities, mainly their leaderships, which are mostly the most consumers of the knowledge that is being produced here. But I would like to clarify this audience about how each one of you do have measures. How do you measure the value for clients and stakeholders, not to the associates or shareholders, but to clients and stakeholders about what you are doing and the service products that you provide? This is the first question. And the second question, what is the strategy that you have in place to engage and to promote faster spillovers of the knowledge that you produce to the public authorities? Because myself and managing the system, I do feel there's a lot of deficits in the stimulus of the public administration to consume the knowledge that is out there, and it will be very important to overcome the resistance in putting new process in place and to present better value. So 2 questions. I don't know how many minutes we have, but probably somewhere. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so from the Green CoLAB side, the algae industry has very specific needs. So our approach to try to valorize and capitalize on the team of CoLAB and all the funding is really to try to answer to the needs of the industry. For example, when I showed the analytical chemistry platform, it's a real need of our associates, but also of the sector to grow. Why? Because the analyses that are conducted normally in other laboratories, they are not specialized in the algae. We have certain needs. We have to break the cell wall. We have some inhibitory compounds that sometimes mask the results. So this is a crucial thing for the industry, and this is how, just one example, all the service platforms are really dedicated to try to really make the field forward. Also, in the products, we have the same approach. So it's really what first our associates, because of course they are our shareholders, but afterwards also looking at the industry in a broader way and try to understand. I'm not sure if it's really to the point, but...
Thank you very much, Tiago, and good morning. Just to tell you that Tiago is represent one of our shareholders, so it's always difficult to answer to his questions, but I will try. Well, my opinion about that is there is a kind of bidirectional strategy. We can be very good in producing things, in do things like we did as a glue to join all these people to build all these big consortiums, but but at the end of the day, these products, these services must go to the market, to the society, and there is a difference between what we call private customers and the public ones, and I think that it's much easier in general to go to the private than to the public, and when I say that is because my feeling about the public institutions in Portugal is that they need to be more open to these disruptive strategies like these ones that CoLAB promote. And sometimes when we invite them, for instance, to make part of these big consortiums, there is sometimes it's hard to convince them that they have a lot of things to learn, to earn with these kind of strategies. So I think that there is a bidirectional strategy that we have to develop. In fact, it's very difficult to take the message to these customers. We try to, for instance, our agenda was based in the workshops to identify the needs of the sector and so on and so on. But then there is an evolution through time, and then we have to actualize all these things. And day by day, we are so busy with some small things sometimes that it's very difficult to get out of the box and, well, let's go for this way or the other one. So I think we are in construction. So it's a way that we have to do to be recognized as a completely disruptive model, as I think CoLABs want to be.
Okay, thank you. And regarding the paper, you are so exposed to these so well-informed consumer markets. How do you put your ideas in the stakeholders?
So again, I'm Yoni Engel from Alma Science. I'm the business manager for Alma Science. So Alma Science, the thing is, we have no sector. So we have, in fact, nobody to give services to, in a way. So we develop value chains for associates, in a way. How do we do that? We come up with solutions, and we work with very aggressive kind of product market fit to see who may have an interest in this technology and for what solution. Because Tier 1 companies and brands, and this is where we go to try to commercialize, they, in most cases, couldn't care less how this is done. They want a solution. And, you know, I always say they might, even if a mouse runs inside and makes it tick and it makes money for them, they don't care. So they don't care about how this is done. They just care what it does for them. And this is what we try to show them. We try to create compelling solutions that are based on our technologies, you know, for the different markets that we are appealing to. Even after we've done a lot of focus, it's still a very wide, area to approach. It's definitely a challenge in the business development work, but this is, this is what we're doing. We're presenting solutions, not technologies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. About us, we are in a very different sector, so I think that all the CoLABs needs different types of incubation, and they need to be regarded in a different way. In tourism, we are working like a consultancy company or something like that, so we are beating also the big consultancy companies, and so on. But anyhow, I'm very optimistic because we had we complete all the shareholders, and there were a lot of people willing to enter in the CoLAB, and was not possible because we have the restriction of 20 shareholders. But anyhow, I think that the only thing is we need time to incubation time. We need time. It's only 6 months, is not too much, and it's impossible to do much more in so short time. Even to do a very good project is impossible to do in 6 months. So give us time and we will show you that we are able to succeed on this.
Thank you.
Okay, so in terms of the development of ideas that we have, sometimes we try to go the other way around. So in terms of go to the companies and provide them with solutions, we try to listen which are their problems, and we try to solve them, to help them solve them, because sometimes they need more scientific knowledge to do that, and we are there supporting in that way. So trying to see things the other way around, and also, let's say, optimize services that are already in course. So as I was saying during the presentation, we have already finalized a diagnosis report for spas. We know that everyone do spa, and they say that it's good, but it's missing scientific knowledge, and we are doing that. So when that is proved that doing, let's say, spa, for example, is good for your health, and in which terms, with which waters, that can be something that will help also, for example, in terms of healthcare, guiding the solutions towards that, for example. So we are trying to look at the things that are done and try to get them better, for example, in that specific area, and we have other several areas that we are focused on. So we will try to do that in the several areas that we are looking.
Okay, thank you. And it's because it's so difficult to transform knowledge in money, and that's why we have this so motivated and so bright young and teams in order to put this idea forward and push-pull strategy and what they have provided to us. Thank you. We are going to for a break, coffee break, coming back in 15 minutes.
Thank you very much. It's correct. We have a 15 minutes break, so please use the left door as yesterday. Sorry, the right door. Welcome back. So now we will start the panel Feeding 8 Billion People, Challenges and Opportunities, Pitching Session and Discussion. So now I will call CoLAB for Food to do the pitch. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Ani, FCT, members of the international panel, and CoLAB colleagues. Thank you all, and I congratulate you all for this great event that we're having here these 2 days. I'm representing CoLAB for Food as the Executive Director, and we are the collaborative lab for innovation within the agri-food industry. And I will start by telling you a bit of the essence of us. Throughout these 5 key thematic areas that we work at, starting from food ingredients and how we mix them into food and beverage innovative formulations, up to the end product, where we look at food nutrition, at clean label solutions, and as well as packaging innovative tools. Of course, to get to that level, many times we need to use food processing technologies, and once again there we look at sustainable, innovative, and competitive technologies that the industry is still not using today. And finally, within circular economy, we look mainly at valorization of co-products within the industry, as well as preventing food and wastes throughout the value chain. Looking at the CoLAB for Food status, so we have been increasing our team up to 18 human resources, plus a number of internships that we have been holding at our CoLAB through our Academy for Food platform over the past 2.5 years. In close collaboration with academic entities. We have been growing our associative fund with 9 new associates and strategic partners, both from academia and industry. In terms of diversifying funding sources, we're able to pretty much match the base funding with competitive funding, around 2 million euros. And in terms of our turnover, we were able to get above 250K over the past 2.5 years. Of course, we expect the team to keep growing, particularly throughout funded projects, as I will show in the next couple of slides. Looking at key outputs, technologies, and markets, well, we have been putting out more than 100 service proposals with a 60% acceptance rate, so that means more than 50 contracts with the industry. And I will just highlight 2 of those, particularly the development of 7 beverage formulations. We did that from end to end. We did the whole formula. 5 of them in the national market, 2 of them in international markets, and there's 3 more coming up in the next quarter. And we also did some proof of concept for technologies at pilot stage units with the industry. We have also been building 2 key databases, one particularly for the industry, which is an ingredients foods database, and another one that we call technological roadmap, which is pretty much mapping all the capabilities that we have within academic associates and partners, as well as equipments that they have at top level. Of course, we have been doing a number of knowledge and dissemination transfer activities, doing a lot of networking. We need to be recognized, and that has been told many times throughout this 1 day and a half, which resulted in 45 project submissions, both nationally and internationally. And we have currently 9 ongoing funded projects, particularly 3 PRR agendas and 2 EU projects. In terms of our marketing strategy and branding strategy, we have also been developing a number of proactive projects, privately funded by CoLAB, whether we do some research, some market analysis, some infographics that we share with a number of shareholders and stakeholders, reaching more than 150 different people in each one of those. And we have been present, of course, in social media and a number of events, trying to push the CoLAB for food market. I would like to invite you as well for the 2nd edition of the international conference that we will be holding next year, which is called Dare to Change, innovation-driven agri-food business that we co-organize with Portugal Foods and INIAV IP, which will be held in March 2023 at Superboc Arena. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, CoLAB for Food. Now, Feed Innov.
Okay, I can see it here. So, good morning. Thank you for, this amazing 1.5 day, not 2 days this time, but it's always a pleasure to be with new and old friends and to discuss the CoLAB. So, for the ones who don't know us, Feed Innov, we're in the feeding the food business. So we feed animals and we're the animal production sector, where we look at it in a 360-degree view in all the nuances of the animal production that we have in the different animal species. We have a total of 18 shareholders, which include the main actors in the feed industry and also in the animal production area in Portugal. During these last 2 years, we've done 2 years in October, it's been very interesting. So we've managed to learn, or at least start to learn how to navigate this CoLAB thing, started a roadmap, and then I would say that in 2022 we started the journey. It has been a very interesting year. We've managed to get 3 important projects besides the interface base funding that we also had, but we had 1 Horizon Europe approved and 1 mobilizing agenda dealing with insect production for feed and for food. And this has increased by a lot our competitive funding budget also. We have at least at the moment 6 going on 13 contracts with industry, and we provide currently regular consultancy services for public bodies, namely for the ECO scheme implementation for the PPAC on the animal production sector. Our key competence have evolved within our areas of action, and at the moment we are aiming at increasing our competencies in getting and providing services, not only for our shareholders, which that we have more or less stabilized throughout this year, but for abroad. And we have found that the industrial symbiosis ecosystem is a very interesting area for our sector, and that's where we are currently looking for our attention. Also, the target markets, we have managed to indicate them and try to address them. Also, we have managed to implement a marketing strategy nationally and internationally, and at the moment we feel that we are now ready to start working. So basically it took us 2 years to initialize. Now we will start to work. I think 2023 will be a big challenge to put all that we have already approved on the run and more that we have in the draw. Thank you for your attention, and I think this one is the last one.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And now, food for sustainability.
Hello, good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I will briefly go through our highlights of last year and tell you a bit about what's coming for the future. Our CoLAB is focused on sustainable food systems, health and well-being. I will just skip the first two slides for time management's sake and tell you about our second year of activity. It was, again, an accelerated growth year. We grew our team, we got larger projects approved, and we also grew in sales, and also grew our international network. For co-funding applications alone, we engaged so far with more than 500 entities in 40 countries. So this is the level of hyperconnectivity that we all have seen also with your CoLABs. Some projects that are worth mentioning in such a short time, the aquaculture, aquaponics, actually fish, vegetables and algae project we are launching. It already has a site approved and we are taking care of permits, so it will be through in a few months. And we have always also been working on projects that take first biomass to provide fertilizer and soil improvement. On the sustainable farming side, of course, we have been launching the Digital Innovation Hub for Agri-Food, where other CoLABs are involved, and we have been developing several demonstrators and case studies around the application of regenerative farming and also soil microbiome improvement. We have studied so far a dozen cases in 5 key crops and organic and conventional systems. We have also been supporting one municipality launch a broad initiative that comprises a bank of land, sustainable farming demonstrators, and also a venture incubator, which is located in Arruda dos Vinhos. And we are now starting a Horizon Europe project on biodiversity monitoring and improvement. On nutrition and healthy eating, we have already touched over 600 children and young adults, mostly on sustainable foods and healthy eating habits. And we are now launching an offer for corporations also. Some innovative projects we have been developing, one on rice traceability using blockchain, a couple of projects that focus on networking and capacity building among farmers, one other project focused on developing new business models for figs and prickly pears. So there's a huge diversity of cases being developed on this, under this scope. I would also like to highlight that we have delivered 2 summer and autumn schools for EIT food recently. This is only possible due to our amazing team members and partners. This is actually a photo taken at our last Idanha Food Lab event in beautiful Monsanto, Idanha Nova. We also like to invite you to be in our next EIT food event on the 13th of December in Arruda dos Vinhos. And thank you very much. Looking forward to strengthen the connections with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Smart Farm CoLAB.
So good morning to everyone, or almost good afternoon, let's say. First of all, I would like to thank Zani, also to FCT for this amazing meeting. It's the third one, so amazing also conference. It's a good signal that we are all here. And also to all the CoLABs, I would say colleagues, but also friends, because these 3 years is amazing in this providing this friendship to and collaborations. So I'm here representing Smart Farm CoLAB, so just a little bit more for digitalization in the agriculture. We are based in Torres Vedras, so please come and to visit us. So the last 3 years, only to say that was useful also to redefine what we call the R&D strategy, and now I would say that now we are more in the processual stage of our implementation. So as I said before, we are on the digital innovation in agriculture, and our main pillars, let's say, are in smart technologies, smart data, because we can't associate technologies and data. Also on the smart production ecosystem, as I said before, we are in the primary sector. For sure the business services, because we need all to survive, and the capacity building, because as a Smart Farm CoLAB looking into digitalization of the agriculture, also we have this main goal that is on the capacity and on digital transition. So I just put here the numbers from this here, the last ones, sorry, you can see also in the report from Dani. So far, this year in 2022, we have 17 national calls submitted and also international ones, and so far we have raised almost 1.8 million euros in different calls, and among them all nationals. One of the big achievements, apart from the contracts that we have in the R&D, and in particular this one that is a 3 years contract also in the Azores Island with the municipality, I can say that one of the big challenges and it's the installation of pilots, technological pilots for all around the country, so from the north to south, and also in the Azores Islands, in order to promote this digital transition and capacity building. Some of the partners are also here in this meeting today. Another one, for sure, is the trademark registration of our technological approved, that is SOFIS. We have different partnerships with associations from the agriculture and also big companies, which help us to improve our activities. We have an honorable also mention from COTEC and some capacity building and actions performed with farmers. For sure, all this work is performed with a team. We are not so big so far. We had expectation to have more, but so far we are 7. A rock star team, but also an amazing board that works always with us. And just to finish, our key technologies are basically on the sensoring, one of the most important ones. Fruit yield estimation data. We work a lot of data because as we are in digitalization, we can't dissociate, as I said before, and turn also this digitalization into inclusive solutions for who will use them. As we are working with agronomy, so our customers are farmers, also R&D institutions, associates, and also competence centers, and also companies. And with all this, I finish my presentation, and thank you all.
Thank you very much. And now the last presentation of this panel, S2 Aqua CoLAB.
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm here representing the S2 Aqua CoLAB, the Smart and Sustainable Collaborative Laboratory. So I'll definitely link our presentation today with the theme of the session, of this pitching session, and use our next 3 minutes to show you how we can contribute to feed the 8 billion people that we are now in the planet, which are expected to reach the 10 billion by 2050. So our main focus is to boost the aquaculture sector through the development of strategic partnership with the stakeholders of the field. Basically, we want to contribute to increase the aquaculture production and increase the supply of the protein alternatives from marine origin. And this includes fish, invertebrates, and also algae. So during this less than half a year of CoLAB existence, we were able to finance or to reach more than 2.7 million in projects coming from different funding sources, which include Horizon Europe, the EA grants, EGF, EIT, GFY, Food and the European Commission, and also the PRR. And here I'm not counting with the 2.5 million coming from the interface mission. So we won 3 prizes, and we have contracted 20 highly qualified human resources, including 1 institutional SEC and 2 internships. Our key competences cover the entire value chain of the aquaculture sector and focus on the production optimization of marine organisms, and once again this includes fish, invertebrates, and algae. The training of employees and professionals on the area, the development of bioindicators to monitor animal health and welfare. We want to tackle also climate change and its impact on the production system, and last but not least, new products and technological development. For the upcoming months, we want to focus our strategy on the development of our platform of services that can be consulted in our catalog of services that will be distributed here today or can be downloaded from our website. And this includes the establishment and the expansion of our analytical platform, which includes services such as in vivo and in vitro trials, the determination of proximate composition, or, for instance, welfare monitoring of the produced organisms. We also want to provide consultancy services on several areas of the aquaculture field, and on project production and management, and also develop models and emerging technologies to give us more information for the general management of the aquaculture sector. Our target markets include aquaculture companies, of course, but also contract research companies, research institutes, among others. May you have any questions, or if you would like to partnership with us, please contact us and visit our social networks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I'll invite now each one of the CoLABs to sit in the stage, and I would like to call the session moderator, the Professor Maria Margarida Vieira, professor here at the University of Algarve. Thank you.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Margarida, as I was introduced. I am from this house, from University of Algarve, and I might call myself a food engineering specialist. So we're here to discuss now how to feed...
Sorry, can you please use the microphone?
Okay. If I know how to turn this on. Like this, okay, better. Probably you will hear me a little bit better. So we're here today to discuss now how to feed 8 billion people. Actually, 8 billion is already passed because we reached that number of population.
You need to... Exactly, thank you.
I have a strong voice, so I think everybody listens to me without the microphone. But anyway, so 8 billion people is already passed. We reached that number in November. So I think it's more interesting to talk about in 2030 with 8.5 billion, or even in 2050, where we will reach, the predictions say, 9.7 billion people. So what I want to challenge you to discuss about is what are these CoLABs doing in order to feed these people in the 2000, let's say 50, regarding what food engineering can do towards changing emergent processes, extending shelf life of food, reducing wastes and valorization of wastes, changing the way of eating from meat to plant-based proteins, and also digitalization, which was your case, how digitalization will contribute to this really great and very important, if not the most important, challenge of this century, as if we don't eat, we won't exist. So please, you can start.
Thank you, Professora. I think it's a very simple question, but with a very complex answer. And it's complex because the agri-food value chain is a tricky business, and it's a complex value chain. You already put some numbers on the table and some solutions, and I would say that some well-known numbers that we have from United Nations. So currently we have around 10% of people in the world that are hungry. Roughly 25% are either overfed or underfed, which is also an issue, showing that there's no balance. And there's also a current issue, particularly in developed countries, not so much in underdeveloped, where roughly around 25% are suffering from malnutrition or undernutrition, particularly on micronutrient level. And in parallel to that, we see that within the agri-food value chain, 1/3 of what we produce from seed to table is lost or wasted throughout the chain. So that is from the field to the production of the crops, harvesting the crops, transportation, packaging, selling and reselling at retailers, then processing and cooking in our homes. Waste and losses are huge. But I think to rebalance all that, the good news is that the numbers also indicate that the amount of food we produce nowadays is enough to feed the whole world. We just need probably to be more efficient. I'm not saying there shouldn't be other solutions, and I'm sure CoLABS and other entities will have a solution on that. But there's enough food for everyone. We just need to rebalance it to be a little bit more optimized on our agri-food value chain. And I think it's an issue, as Professor was saying, that has to do with all of us, not just the agri-food CoLABS, not just the CoLABS, but all entities have a stake on it because it's a complex solution. From our end, I would give a few examples of what we have been doing. At a small level, regional level, we have social activities, privately funded, so those are proactive projects. We work with the municipality of Vila do Conde, where we have our headquarters, helping those who need the most by providing them food products and consumer good products. Our team has also been doing an effort outside working hours, working with the ReFood, which is well known in Portugal, providing meals and cooking meals to those who need the most. So it's small actions, but if we all do a bit of that, we can improve a lot the issue we have in the world of rebalancing food across everyone. In terms of services and working with the companies, we have been mostly working on valorizing their co-products, or used to say byproducts. It's an issue that the industry also has. There's a lot of waste that either goes to the food, the feed animal industry, or goes to landfills. But there's ways to do the upcycling process. And I think then knowledge and science can help on that process. And then in terms of funded projects, we are part of a EU project, which is called Wasteless. It will be kicked off in January next year. led by a Portuguese entity, which is UTAD. And this project is pretty much about building a digital tool to monitor and to be able to reduce food wastes and losses. So 3 things, but there's a lot more to be done.
So,
thank you very much.
After the words of my colleagues, I would say, as in Portuguese, contra factos, não argumentos. In fact, it's hard, but we need this balance, and we need to learn how to balance these old states. So, in the terms of the primary sector, so comes into the field, we are talking, okay, we need to feed these 8 billion people now, more, but in fact, we also need to do this transition in agriculture, and how we can do this transition. So we need to produce more using less, and I know that this is always the same words that we listen in all the congresses, but it's true in fact. And how can we do it? Through technology that can be a help, because the soil is always be the soil, and we know the quality that the soil is decreasing. So we need to optimize the way that we produce the water. Water is in fact a limited resource. Thanks God now it's raining, but we know that we are not doing correctly the things on, we say, the water resources. And technology also can help us on this. But technology, if we don't know how to use them, because here in Smart Farm CoLAB, our big focus is actually in this digital transition, is also from us the need that we have to do this capacitation and training how to use these technologies. And it's nice when we put them working, but also we need, okay, we have this technology, but in fact, which is the gain that we have in our production? This is also very important, because the farmers, in the end, they want also the sustainability, and sustainability is not only environmental, it's also economic, and we need to show them how these technologies will help them in terms of economic point of view, for the water, for the soil, but also for the products. And other aspects is also to show that we can move forward into this intensification of the agriculture, but we need also to show that we can gain with this transition. And for that, we are hoping that this project should be approved. The project is named Sustained Growth, and we want to show that, in fact, using, for example, different intensification of the production systems, we can also be sustainable in the way that we produce, and take this seal or this label of sustainability, because we need also this commercial market in the end. And the byproduct is also important in the valorization, because we have a lot, in particular, for example, I'm just thinking in horticulture, we have a lot of production, but also a lot of the products still in the field. So what we can do, and also how can we valorize the product in the field that are not coming into our table.
Thank you.
Well, we already talked about food waste and circular economy, and also the use of technology to support intensification. So my point, the one I would like to add is we need to produce food in a different way. It's not only about technology to produce more food. It's about using nature also to make it a sustainable intensification. So this is a key point, and when we look at how Europe is seeing this transition in agriculture, we see that probably the process they are proposing is not the best one, will not work. And we need to make it economically viable for each individual operator, and we need to make it viable also at the country level, at least. So things need to be done differently, and we need to take other value streams to feed this change process. And where will we gain on the short term? It's on developing local economies, reducing the use of inputs, and now that we have difficult access to some of the inputs and they are getting more and more expensive, we see the value there, and we need to take action. And we cannot sustain doing the same thing at a larger scale because we know that it will increase the problem. In the medium to long term, we have other value streams that we need to account for. Some studies say that we pay 3 times for the food we eat. 1 time to produce the food and take it to the table, 1 time to pay for health issues related to eating, and the 3rd time to correct the environmental impacts we are producing. So there's huge value here, and we need to channel that value into things that will matter. And contrary to what Pedro said in a few minutes ago, we are changing the planet. Baby steps, but we are all changing and improving the way we feed ourselves and we treat the planet and the economic and the social side of it.
Yeah, so, and all of this is impossible without animals. Animals are a part of the ecosystem. They are a part of our diet and animal products. And so we currently need, we have been doing that, but we need to continue to produce animals in a sustainable way and ensuring, that they're being well produced. So increasing the sustainability, sustainable intensification is definitely one of the ways we need to do it. The side streams that three of my colleagues have already talked about. I mean, animals make possible, the upstream of not all, but quite a few of these byproducts that we get from other areas, and put them and transform them into high-quality, nutritious food for us humans. So replacing the animal at the center of production systems and rethinking the way we look at animal production systems, integrating vegetable and animal production systems and all the side streams, positive externalities that these production systems have and that are not accounted for. These are important issues that we should tackle, and we at FeedInnov, they're the base ground of our foundation, and we are working on that. Also, the type of feed that we give to our animals, not only within the production system, but also looking at short circuits, looking more close by what we feed them, where we can get, making all these bridges to sustainable, intensify the way we produce animals, producing more food in a more sustainable way and providing nutritious food for the population. So this is an important issue, of course, that Europe or developed, I don't know how developed they are, but anyway, developed countries, the problems that developed countries have are completely different than the ones that underdeveloped countries do have. But a lot of the knowledge that we have concerning animal production systems is already being applied in improving efficiency in underdeveloped countries. So this flow of knowledge and the way we produce animals and how to integrate them in the system and the production systems is flowing. So despite the big challenges that we have, we are confident that we will definitely find a way to continue this road that we've started.
Thank you.
Okay, so a lot have been said already. I will talk about aquaculture, of course, and I think in our case it's easy to understand where we can contribute to this challenge of feeding this world growing population. Our work plan were designed to boost or to increase the production in aquaculture, and all our research lines have the objective to put the sector to growth, to increase the protein sources from marine organisms, and these include animals, but also plants, such as the algae. And of course, we are considering some of the key words that my colleagues have discussed here, such as sustainability. Of course, it's one of our main concerns, to sustainably increase or sustainably intensify the production, using byproducts from other industries to transform it into nutritious food for human consumption. Also, the circularity of the process in aquaculture is something that we care about, and of course the digitalization and the use of new technologies to help improve the production is one of our main goals. I would just mention one of the lines that we are currently developing in the S2 CoLAB, which is a very new topic and a hot topic in the moment, which is the cellular aquaculture. We have actually recently won a prize and a project to develop this cellular aquaculture, and this is one of the lines that we want to pursue also in the CoLAB in order to have another alternative protein source and be able to contribute for this challenging of feeding all these people in the planet.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we're good. Thank you very much to all of you and your contribution.
Thank you very much. I would like to call now Tiago Martins de Oliveira, the President of the Agency for Integrated Management of Rural Fires, to give you some information about an event that AGIF is promoting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for these minutes. Who cares about fires? Of course we do, but fires are quite important because if the fires are the expression of the context, of the landscape, and how we use tools that sparks those fires, and that is quite important for all of you to become more involved in fire management. Not only the fire management itself, but fire risk management and fire governance risk management, because you will not have water in the future if you don't manage the trees properly. And to manage the tree properly, you need to manage the fuel, the shrubs properly, and you need to manage all the surroundings of the landscape where those trees are growing. So it's really important that all your knowledge come to Porto, and I'm here to reinforce the announcement of this conference that is going to be held in May 2023. And in the last 5 years, Portugal spent more than 20 million in investing money in research and development projects. So I hope that the National Science Foundation foster the research teams to come to Porto to present their work and to have the slides being presented there with the good presentations. So, main message, call for abstracts are due to the 12th of December. I do know and I do thank you the organization of this CoLAB meeting, because I know that they'll share already with you all these details. But I want to reinforce these dates. 12th December is the due date for the abstract submission. And I also would like to tell you more, some information. Prime Minister Costa announced in COP Egypt this big event where we are trying to bring different nations to come to Porto. In the previous conference that was held in Brazil, every 4 years we have this international conference. More than 100 nations and more than 1,000 participants attended the conference, and this time we want to have a kind of a binding agreement to assure that every nation in the world has a kind of a framework to tackle fires and to tackle the governance of the fires in order to avoid the firefighting trap where every country are trying to solve the problem, tackling the consequence, for example, buying airplanes instead of tackling the causes. So it's really important that this pitch, it's there at the political level, and also we have OECD and these other organizations as a partnership. I do know that Forestwise has become recently a partner of this event, and also the President of the Republic is chairing the honorary committee. So abstracts are due to 12th of December, and I would like you to invite you to come to expand your networking, to also sponsor or to be at the booth showing the products and services that you have to offer to the world. And I will do a challenge on behalf of the ambassador of United States. Well, in California, Australia and South Africa, the wine producers are quite worried because the smokes change the flavor of the wine. And because we are having this conference at Porto, and Porto is very known of their winery culture, I would like to invite the wine CoLABs, I presume there are a few, to come to Porto and discuss with the fire managers how can we reduce the moment where the fire and smoke threats the vineyards, and then promote a change in the flavor of the wine. So it will be a side event, but it's this type of mingles, it's this type of capability to reinforce the network, but also to show your products and to find bridges that we would like to be part and to provoke you to participate in this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now to talk about Interface Mission Platform, please welcome Sofia Couto and Ana Castro from ANI.
Hello. So I'm Sofia, as you met yesterday. This is my colleague Ana Castro. Okay. So Ana is helping ANI work with the BRR structure to implement this new mission. First of all, before starting my presentation, I would like to thank you all for your presentations. They were very helpful, and I hope they pitch the collaboration network as soon as possible, or more than it is. So the Interface mission is focused on technical and operational execution. CoLABs are being pioneers in this Interface mission, and CoLABs are also strong catalyzers for the Portuguese economy. They are key players, key players and are still key players in the mobilizing agenda. They are enablers of the innovation. They raised more than 100 million euros in this agenda, and without them, this agenda would not have been such a success. We know that CoLABs are in different stages of fundraising, and results achievements show off. So the collaboration is key to help everyone grow. The PRR is a recent and one-time only funding structure that is being implemented in a time of European Union transition, funding frameworks from Portugal 2020 to Portugal 2030, and also from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe, as we've seen presented yesterday by our colleagues Maria and Ricardo, that will also continue to be available to explain further these processes. And, got something? Yeah. No. So from fundraising, we pass along to funding execution. It's a long process. We talk about how much money we raise, but we also have to talk about how we apply it and how to get it into our investments and how to see the results from them. So this is where I come along with several years of experience in payment requests. Some of you already award me saying, hey, you already analyzed some of our requests in other projects in the Portugal 2020. But we need to see that this fund money is transversal seed money. Okay? Sorry. So we are presenting a bit of context, workflow, our platform, best practice, and some Q&A examples. If we have time, we'll try to have also some Q&A from the public, but have in mind that this is the first presentation. We will have further workshops that we will get into detailed in other events, okay? So, in terms of context, we need to visualize that Interface mission. It's not just CoLABs, it's also with CTIs, and it has a budget now of 186 million that have to be disposed by both networks. From the CoLAB, like I said, you are pioneers. We have already contracted 18 projects, and the CTIs are still in the expression of interest analysis. Our milestones and goals are conservative, so we are planning to reach 20 contracts until the end of the year, and the beneficiary companies to 150 until June 2023, and 500 due to 25. These will be, if one CoLAB has some beneficiaries and another one has the same, they will not be duplicated. So we need to see this in a whole network. Also, the intervention areas, some of you have already asked the tags 21 and 22, how to allocate the funding proportionality. And here we would advise you to analyze your action lines and see which is the best fit. Like if this action line is more towards 21 or if it's more towards 22, and allocate the funding proportional in your KPIs that way. So here, I'm sorry for this is in Portuguese. This is just a main framework of different areas. In green light, you can see the CTIs, and in black, the CoLABs. So you can see here the different structures where they fit. I know some of them are transversal. These are just the main thematic areas that they work on. Okay. So in terms of workflow, we have here present in the audience also some techniques from the PRR structure. So it's not just ANI. ANI is just the intermediary beneficiary between the PRR facility and the CoLABs. You are our main focus. And for that, everything that we ask, we work on that, and we have to report it to the PRR. So this is an interactive funding system that we are collaborating. Also, these are some main guidelines that will be available in our manual. We are going to put this presentation available for you later on, so don't worry. And we have here the technical orientations from the Portugal mission. We have some legal framework from the European Commission and also from Portugal, and you will have all these links to further analysis. This is our draft manual agenda. I know I've talked that we wanted to present this to you, but there are some main issues that are still being discussed before releasing the document. We hope to release it by the end of the year. This is just some of the aspects that we are abording in this manual. So, how to report the financial and technical execution. We have 3 components, the technical, financial, and the KPIs. In each of them, you have different aspects that you have to explain. And we want this to be a very connected report system. Okay, so all the financial and technical aspects have to be connected and explained, so we have the whole workflow easily explained. In terms of presentation, these will be the aspects that will be requested to fulfill in terms of expenses invoices and personnel costs. They will be asked to be inserted in an Excel sheet. It will be easier for upgrade the system to download and import the system. Sorry. Next, this is just a reminder of the eligible expenses that were already presented when we were advertising the funding call. In terms of execution timing, I know João already aborted this question in the morning. This is just a small graphic explaining that from one semester, like semester 2 to semester 3, you can still use the funding, but the money that was not invested in that second semester, it cannot be expended in the 4th semester. Okay? We have to be very careful with this. In terms of the platform mission, we're trying that all the communication is made by the platform. So we will also send alerts regarding, we have this available. And instead of receiving an email, you'll be receiving communications to the platform that will go all in the same time. And let's try to have the ANI team responding to these communication systems and alerts. You also have some information that is already uploaded. So you only have to check, is it okay? Is there something I need to update? And we'll do it here, okay? In terms of the proposals, you can also check the areas that you've mentioned in your application form. So some of you have complained about, oh, we are not in our main technological area. It's true. As you've seen in the morning presentation, you have this word soup where we try to allocate in in panels of 5. And so these were the areas that you mentioned in the mission interface application, and that's where we pick up your allocation for this event, but it can change conform the event's title or panel that we want to discuss. In terms of periodic reports, they will be semesterly done, so every semester will have to be reported and will be created, and from here you can consult, visualize, edit, and also insert attachments. Like if you have done public events, and it's hard because this is only a text structure, you have something you want to, the video analysis of the year or something, you can always upload the documents here that help us see how you are executing the program.
Another note is that these periodic reports are always the same. The template is exactly the same for each period. Okay, there is no differentiation between the first semester and the second, and the end of the year.
So next we see a little bit of one point explaining, summarized way, how was this semester, and then through action line you should write down some clear notes of what did you execute and explain the deviations. These will be limited characters, so you should be focused on what you want to transmit in this semester report. In terms of investments, you have one column that is about the investments in general. It is split by action lines and nature of costs. You will see what was your fund-based contract and what did you achieve. If the execution is below expected, please insert some comments on it, okay? In terms of personal costs, you can see here the logos of download the Excel. Please do not change columns or anything. It's a locked file. And upload the information when you have it. And also for the expenses invoice, is the same thing as was presented in the previous slide. In terms of best practice that we want to transmit, we have the organizing, accounting, and costing center application. This was already mentioned in the call. We have also non-duplication of funding sources, and this is very important. This is very well monitorized. It was already, and at least with me, was already monitorized in every payment request. We had this place where we would check if the invoices were being applied to other funding programs, if the technicals, the human resources were allocated to other projects, if it was not over 100%. All of this is verified by informatics systems, so be very careful when you're fulfilling these kind of things, okay? In terms of communication, we have to ensure that you're always presenting the funding sources. This is very important to all financing systems, as you know. In terms of public tender, this is a question that has to be answered by each CoLAB. And we'll in terms of documentation, as many of you have already worked with other public funds, you always have to have a dossier, which is like a place where you have all the information regarding these fundings. And when we have audits, sorry. When you have audits, you always have to ensure that you have the documents available to be checked up, okay? Also, in terms of archive, it's in the Portuguese legislation, you have to keep everything at least for 5 years. And in terms of the RCBA.
Yeah, so this is one of the main issues that Recuperar Portugal is taking a lot of care looking at this, because this is a new European Union regulation, and it asks to all the companies to have this information constantly updated, so we can reimburse each project. Okay, so our advice for you is to ensure that you have always this information updated. Okay.
In terms of Q&As, we have just selected a couple of them. The ones on the left are easy in terms of its direct answer. If the HR financed by interface mission have to be exclusive, because I know that from the previous financing through the CCDRs, they were exclusive. They are not anymore, or at least in this financing, you can have techniques working for PRR and other projects. Just be careful with the double funding. How will ANI implement the system? I think we have overviewed this in this presentation, and we will have further workshops detailing this. How the payment request process timeline will be implemented. We will use the same timeline as before in the 2020, which is 30 working days to release the payment. In terms, and I put to the right some questions that I've been receiving frequently, and that it's very hard to answer because in terms of the public tender rules, it's a very complex situation that has to be analyzed by your own structure, by your legal departments. If you don't have them yet, look into your associates who can help you figuring out if you are or not obliged. Okay. In terms of the intellectual property, it's also some questions that I've received about this. ANI released recently under the CIAC project some capacity workshops. I know some of you asked me when they were released for TTOs, and then we decided to release them also to CoLABs and CTIs together, because we're trying to merge a little bit our framework. And this is some of the aspects that I would like you to discuss between yourselves, and then we will also promote that. Just to finish our next steps, we are trying to release the manual and discussion to the end of the year. Collaborative workshop sessions from starting January 23 to discuss not only these documents that we talked about, but also other questions that you have been sending me. And Cafe with CoLABs, I know some of you have already this discussion, some of you do it. I know you all talk behind my backs. I don't mind. Please go ahead. And sorry? Oh, virtual bread? I don't know. This is kind of an ongoing initiative, I think. Some of you told me about this. I've already heard about it. We'll try to speed it up during the next year. And whoops. So I think now we have 2 minutes for any public Q&A, or we'll save it for the later workshops. Thank you very much. Do you want to say something? Thank you all.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to call Madalena Alves, the president of FCT, for the closing session. Thank you.
Hello. So, thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here to know more about the CoLABs. I regret having missed yesterday's session because I'm very curious about these new structures where science and companies and industry are engaged to deliver these new innovations and new products to the market. I think this initiative, this CoLABS initiative, is a winning strategy. I think is really interesting. What I have seen today is quite important to conclude that the mission is really in the right direction. And I am particularly curious to know better how these organizations are evolving, breaking barriers, and improve this relation that is always difficult between science and innovation and to go to the market. I also have some concerns about the CoLABs, and my concerns maybe are also your concerns. And my concerns are about some potential competition, some potential overlapping. Not only among different CoLABs, but also with other institutions. I can give you some examples. One example is, for example, the CoLAB trial, intends to make clinical trials, and we have 12 centers, academic clinical centers that are also funded by FCT, and FCT is the institution that gives the title, awards the title of CoLABs, but also funds in some way CoLABs and also this center. So it's not clear for us when we give money to different institutions to do the same things, at least apparently. And I say apparently because we don't know yet in deep what are the missions of each institution. This is one example, but there are many others. I see this cluster of space, and I don't see, for example, at least I didn't find the Portuguese Space Agency involved. So these are concerns that I think are normal, and this is a recent program. I think there are a big future for this initiative, and also just information that FCT decided to halt for 1 year the evaluation of new CoLABs, because we, and not only we, it was not our only decision, we were well supported by some partners in the system. We thought that maybe it's too early to full assess the impact, the economic impact of these structures. So it's maybe understood that if we wait a little bit more time to decide for new structures, it's quite good. So it's not that we close the submissions or the evaluations or the awarding new titles, but it's just 1 year of time to consider and to evaluate more and better these structures. So thank you so much. Congratulations for your job, and I wish you all the best, and think about these concerns that I'm very positive about the future of this institution. Thank you. You have a question? Please.
Is it possible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry to question you. Perhaps you don't need to answer. If you think it's something that I should do, just please.
Sorry.
Yeah, of course. My question is about managing the system. And from my point of view, the CoLABs are the main driven idea of the CoLABs is towards innovation. And so if we think about this, and if we think about creating science or creating knowledge and eventually technology from one side, and then to create innovation from the other side, it's probably more easy to think what the CoLABs can do within the system. Mm-hmm. Instead of thinking that we are competing with, for instance, with the research centers or with academia. So basically, it's just a comment to ask you if you really look at this way, or it's a completely different
When
thing?
I thought, or when I mentioned competition is because, and in this Power BI that was presented, I already started playing with. It's strange for me. It's not strange if I see a big company involved in many collabs. It's strange for me if I see a small company involved in different collabs. Okay? Also, the mission of each collab that work in the same areas or in the same cluster is not well defined in my opinion. So there are overlaps, and if there are the same companies working in different collabs, for me is quite difficult to understand, and this is the way I see the potential competition and conflict of interest. Okay? Not competition with universities, with the research centers, and it's just this point that maybe it's not a problem, but maybe for me is a concern because I don't know in deep how the structures are organized. More questions?
Just a remark about PT space and the space sector, because as you will not see FCT within any CoLAB, you will not see never PT space. Sorry, Nuno Lourenço from Plus Atlantic CoLAB.
Okay.
I was saying that PT Space is an agency and it cannot be engaged within a private association. Is an agency that articulates money allocation for the space sector and public policies application on the space domain.
I don't know. If I see one collab inside another collab, for me everything is possible. Yes. SEIA is a collab. SEIA is inside another collab. Your collab, for example. So, this is strange for me. Maybe it's not a problem for the collabs.
No, okay, that's a story about how collabs are organized. What I'm addressing is the fact that PT Space is a Portuguese agency, and I think it should not be engaged in a specific interest because not all the space sector is within Plus Atlantic CoLAB. And so this would be biased towards the other ones which are in the sector and are not within the CoLAB.
So my concern is we are a poor country, okay? We don't have money to spread in different institutions that are doing...
But then I agree with you. That part is easy, to agree with you.
Atlantic, for example, we have Air Center that is also a structure with a mission related to Atlantic. How is the relationship between your CoLAB and Air Center, for example?
I can address that afterwards, but the relation is fine, but this is two different...
But it's not involved?
It's not engaged.
Okay. So this is some examples of concerns that I have when I look to the structure and to all the institutions that we, FCT, we pay. And this is a concern. We have to manage money. Money is very short, and we need to ask and ask and ask again.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, just to finish off my remark, no question about the issues that you raised. My question was specific about PT Space, which I think should not be engaged within Plus Atlantic, although the relations also are fantastic with PT
Good.
Space.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your participation in the third annual meeting of Collaborative Laboratories. We hope you had a productive event and hope to see you back next year. Thank you very much.